Hello and welcome to Module 2 of Getting Started with PSRS. PSRS is the Public Service Resourcing System, and this is the website that you want to go to apply for jobs in the Canadian Federal Public Service. You can get to this website at jobs.gc.ca and it will automatically redirect you to the proper URL. In the first module, we just took a brief overview and looked at what's on this website and what sort of tools are available to you. Today, we're actually going to go in and create our account on PSRS. So the first thing I want you to do is go up to this My Account section in the left-hand menu and click on Sign In. And this will take you to this privacy notice statement page, and you do want to read through that. Very important information to know about. And once you've done that, we'll just scroll down to the bottom and you'll see this PSRS login box. So if you already had login information, you would just type that in here and log in. We do not have an account on PSRS yet, so I want you to go down underneath that box and click on Create an Account. This will take us to the login screen, and as you can see, we have a few things we need to do. We're on step 1 of 7 here. So the things they're asking us in here is to set up our email address and password, and then they'll ask for a hint question. So we'll just go ahead and type in our email address. Confirm the email address. We'll go down and insert a password. And this is a bit of a finicky system. Make sure you read these instructions here about the requirements for the password, and just make sure you follow those. Otherwise, it's going to complain. So we've put in our password, and now it's going to ask you for a hint question. So if you ever lose your password, it'll email you this question just to confirm that you are who you say you are, and it'll allow you to reset your password. So I'll just have you go in and set up that hint question and the answer, and then click on Continue, and I will see you on the next screen. So here we are on step 2, and this is where it's going to ask you for your personal information. So your last name and your first name. It's going to ask you for your availability date. So if you're currently on a contract, just put the date that you would be available. I'm just going to put down today's date. And it's also going to ask you for partial birth date information. This is used as a unique identifier. So just type that information in. Underneath that, you've got a few more boxes here that they're going to ask you to fill out. This gender one, I just want to point out, government hiring processes often have employment equity implications in them, and we'll sort of discuss that later on when we actually look at configuring our account. This is not actually employment equity stuff. This is just a statistical thing, so you can fill that in or not. It's not a required field. Citizenship, however, is, so you would just click on the reason for which you're eligible to work in this country. Underneath that, they're asking you whether or not you're currently employed by the Public Service of Canada. Again, this is just for statistical purposes, so you can answer that or not as you see fit. Down here, this box is asking you for a PRI, or personal record identifier. If you have one, then go ahead and type it in here. If you don't, no worries. You're not expected to have one because this is an external process. A PRI is kind of like a SIN number, but it's specific to the Government of Canada, and it's your employee number. So when you actually do get hired by the federal government, they will assign one to you. Underneath that, there's just a little checkbox for whether you want to use pop-up windows. I like pop-up windows, so I'm just going to keep that there. So I'll just have you fill in this page with all your personal information and then click on Continue, and then we'll move on to the next page. Okay, so now we're on step 3 of 7, and this is where it's going to ask you for your address information. So your permanent home address is kind of self-explanatory. That's where you live most of the time. And so just fill in the information. The region one is a little bit of a weird one. Just pick the one that suits you the best where you happen to live. Type in your address. Make sure this is an actual address. I'm just going to put something just in here for fun so we can see what's going on. And then we'll just click on continue. And I'll see you on the next page. Now, step 4 of 7 is your other address. Not everyone will have an other address. This would be used if your mailing address is different from your permanent residence address. This, I suspect, is mostly just used for students if you happen to be living in residence and you want mail delivered there rather than to your parents' home address, for instance. So use this or not, it's up to you whether you need it or not. So I'm going to say we don't need it for this account and click on continue, which will take us over to step 5 of 7, and it's going to ask you for your home telephone number and your work number. So not everyone, again, the work number being optional. If you don't have one, don't put it in, or if you don't want people contacting you at your work number, just put in a cell number or something, or just leave it blank. So let's fill that in and then click on continue again. So now we're on step 6 of 7, and it's telling you that this is the confirmation screen. It will send an email with validation instructions on how to activate the account to the email address that you set up in the first screen. So once we click on continue and get that validation email, we'll just have to follow the instructions in there, and we'll be able to log into our email account we'll be able to log into our account after that. So let's just click on continue and see what happens. So it says our validation email was successfully sent, and if we go and check our email, then we should have that validation email waiting for us. So I'll just put this on pause while everybody goes to check for their validation email. Okay, so I hope everybody got their validation email successfully and that you clicked on the link, and if you did, you should be right back here to this login screen. It should have automatically redirected you, and if you scroll down to the bottom, the email that you used to set up the account should already be in there, and we'll type in our password and see if this works. And click on login. And there we go, we're right into our account on PSRS now. And as you can see, there's a bunch of different menu things here. And the one I want you to take a look at is this create, maintain a profile, because we can't actually use this account yet. We've only set it up at this point. The next thing that we are going to have to do is set up our profile. So that will be the next video that I do. Will be module 3 in this series, and it will be about configuring your PSRS account. That's it for today. I hope everybody found that useful, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.